Welcome back to Mastering Freelancer Management with Worksuite, where we dig into actionable tips and expert strategies on how renowned brands manage their global talent networks at scale. Today, I'll be joined by Mandy Johnson, the Production Services Director at Jack Morton, the global brand experience agency and part of the IPG family, who does incredible live events and brand experiences for clients like McDonald, Meta, CES, Cadillac, and Adidas, just to name a few. I'm excited to pick Mandy's brain today and hear more about how she manages Jack Morton's global talent network and has scaled it to over 2,000 freelancers worldwide. Without further ado, let's get into it. Mandy, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
I wanted to just start with the easy stuff about you. What is it you love about your job when it comes to freelancer management and creative operations?
So I've been with Jack Morton since March of 2022, and I came from a little more of the corporate world. I worked with IPG, our parent company, for 10 years. I love the freedom, the creativity, the agility that comes with doing the client work and the client facing and production world. I feel like I get to work with hundreds of different people on any given day. And I travel all over the world and especially all over the US and just meeting with these folks and making sure that our offices are feeling supported. So I know that there's a lot of difficulty and challenges with the mostly remote workforce, but it also gives us a lot of opportunities to work with folks that we might not have otherwise been able to engage with. So there are definitely silver linings involved with all of this.
What sort of challenges do you run into when it comes to managing such a large remote workforce?
The same that I imagine any corporation is dealing with right now when people are as widespread as they are, which is just we need to make sure that we establish a cadence of communication and checking in because we're not all sitting in the same office and we can't just go like, hey, let's quick circle up and go into a meeting room and hammer this out. No, we need to be more intentional about how and when we're able to connect with each other. And then, of course, if you are somebody who's working remotely, just making yourself available for anybody that needs that support or needs that, in the minute direction. So as long as we are establishing really, really clear boundaries and expectations at the outset of our engagement with anybody, with both freelancer and employee alike, just establishing the expectations and the cadence of communication gets through a lot of those challenges right away.
And how do you approach that at scale? I understand that your organization has pretty effectively grown your talent pool by hundreds, if not thousands. How do you manage all of that with chasing down details and emailing people and even just keeping that communication cadence?
Well, having an excellent onboarding partner like Worksuite really helps. The fact that we have got, and truly, all cheese aside, because we have the platform that we have with Worksuite, we are able to engage, onboard, sign deal memos, review insurance, get the information over to, our third-party payroll system if they are going through that, all in one place. So the fact that we have built a custom workflow that works for our onboarding and management system and does all of that, collects their tax information, gets their banking details if they're going to be paid through our system. We are able to put together the deal memo with all of the details involved in the engagement and request. We're able to review that internally by sending it to the appropriate reviewers. We're able to get the counter signatures done by our head level people who need to sign off on all of that, as well as reviewing and tracking and storing our insurance documents, which is another important part of our business. All of that happens right in Worksuite. It is a one-stop shop, and it has made it so easy to manage this at scale because we only have to be doing all of this in one place.
Wow. Thank you for the kind of words about
I mean,
Worksuite. That's
honestly,
amazing.
that's the only reason we've been able to do it at scale as successfully as we have so far.
What did the old way look like, for trying to do all that kind of stuff? Like
A
how are
lot
people
of
doing
different
it?
systems, a lot of different documents, a lot of different file folders. I mean, we had programs and platforms that were being utilized separately. In certain offices, we would use Google Sheets, and then in one, we would use Monday.com. And so we were leveraging the different platforms that our offices separately were comfortable with. But having to do all of those things in addition to tracking down the Word documents of the deal memos and then making sure that we're getting the PDFs saved in one spot and then managing the insurance documents separately. It was a very manual and piecemeal process. So being able to move all of those together into one platform has been kind of a game changer.
That's amazing what you all have done with the platform. For other people who are in your position and managing global talent and dealing with different offices, perhaps in different locations, what do people misunderstand when it comes to outsourcing to contractors?
I think when I originally approached the idea of, or when I took over this position, I thought that our freelancer work was a one and done sort of situation, and that is not the case at all. So it's not the same as, onboarding a supplier that we know we're only going to be using for this one engagement, and then we probably won't work with them anymore because we don't know if we'll be back in that location. No, with freelancers, we are building relationships, and especially with the ability to work with people across the country and across the world. If we like your work, we're going to work with you again because it's easy to do. So it's not just that we are using Worksuite or using our freelancer engagement tools to onboard the one and done folks and say, all right, here, just get in here, we'll do your deal memo, we'll pay you, and then send you on your way. No, no, no. This is building a cadence, building a relationship. And then we can look back and say, that's right, we use this freelancer for this job. I think it would work for them to help us out with this future job for either a similar client or the same client. And having that history and a bunch of the features that Worksuite has for us as well, to remember exactly the work that we did, the rates that we paid before, all of the information is right there on file, easy to reference. It is truly our little black book, and it's a chance for us to build relationships, ongoing relationships with people, and not just a one and done tool.
That's great. What, in terms of the relationship, I'd love to hear more about your perspective on that. What are maybe two or three tips for maintaining a good long-term relationship with your talent?
I'd go back to what I said before, which is establishing clear expectations at the outset. And the fact that we can do that through, what we're building in our deal memo to say, hey, here's the scope and the understanding and the responsibilities of the work that we are asking you to do. So when they sign off on it, we know that we are clear and good to go. And then, of course, establishing, okay, when are you going to check in with your producers? What are the deadlines? Making sure that all of those very basic things are outlined, clear, and manageable, and that we've got regular checkpoints to just make sure that we're not falling behind or just managing our caseloads accordingly.
Are there differences? Because, obviously Jack Morton does some incredible work both in the digital space and the physical activation experiential space. Talk to me about, are there any differences you found between the type of workers that you're engaging? What are some things people have to be mindful of there?
Making sure that we're getting the right people for the right job, of course. The benefit of a lot of our freelancer work is that we don't have them siloed necessarily, right? Like somebody who's working as a copywriter on one project might have the ability and the bandwidth to take on, a program management role in another job that we're doing. So it can be that one freelancer is working on multiple jobs in multiple different roles. And that's just a testament to like how versatile our freelancers are and how agile they are able to be, and the deep, deep talent network that we have to draw on, and the work that they're able to do with each other. But in terms of the difference between the boots on the ground and the digital space, that's hugely important to make sure that we've got good chemistry with the teams that we're working with, because the on the ground stuff is so much more intense because you are there for 10, 12-hour days. You are working significant overtime and doing everything within our power to manage the challenges and then to make sure that this event comes off without a hitch for our clients. And so making sure that we've got the right personalities and the right talent sets for all of our on the ground jobs is an incredibly important consideration when we're reaching out to and engaging with our freelancers.
Very cool. What's your favorite event or activation that involved a lot of different freelancers? I'm curious.
Loved McDonald's. So our team has put on the McDonald's employee conference for a couple of years now, and we're working on the one in 2024 as well. There are just so many moving parts to that piece of things, everything from, getting our audio visual to getting the stage set to making sure that we've got the restrooms or working with the venue to, anywhere from like merch, bringing in the merch and making sure that we've got the right print vendors for that. So I really feel like with as many moving parts as are involved with an on the ground event like that, so much can go wrong. We need to make sure that we've got people who are just ready to roll with the punches and build those relationships and then continue to come back for more fun later, which they always do.
Love it. Well, like, what's something about engaging like a global diverse workforce that you find really interesting? Because you mentioned before getting to work with so many different people in all different places and lots of different job titles, lots of different types of projects, which is really exciting. Talk to me more about that. Are there any challenges to consider or any sort of
Yeah.
advice
And
around?
thank you for that, because one of Jack Morton's like huge strategic priorities for the next couple of years is diversity, vendor diversity. And we want to make sure that our DEIB initiatives are being met across the board. That includes with, internal employees, with our suppliers, with our clients, and then of course with our freelancers. So fortunately, our friends over at Worksuite have helped us come up with a way to track the diversity metrics of all of our freelancers, self-reported, of course, because these are the folks that own and know their own diversity classifications. So as we are ramping up our reporting and our numbers so that we can really wow our clients with the level of diversity that we're able to include in our pitches and then in engagement at every level of the project. We're grateful to be able to collect that data through Worksuite's platform and to be able to report it back to every interested party to let them know the level of diversity that we're able to engage with in our freelancer population.
I love that. Yeah, I was hearing about the implementation for that. That's really exciting. When it comes to managing spend, I know this is always, a thing we hear about amongst people, I guess usually people not using Worksuite, but rogue spend, people call it, or just making sure things are on budget and things go off without a hitch. What's your advice on keeping a close eye on that budget to make sure that, clients are happy, talent's happy, team's happy?
Review early and often. Just make sure that we are building in a cadence of review, whether it's checking in every day or every week or certain, whatever the cadence is that works best for your teams, just making sure, setting those checkpoints and then frequently communicating with the clients to make sure that they know where we are within our budget. Any significant changes to those budgets should be communicated early and often, and just making sure that we are on track and that there are no surprises at the end of the day. Important. We use some internal budgeting tools to estimate all of the different costs, including tax, because that's been one of the big considerations for some of our clients. Again, just establishing that early and often cadence of review it a lot. Don't spend your whole day just watching the pennies go up and up, but when we know that there are going to be significant costs incurred, check in with everybody, make sure that we're on board, and then just move forward.
Great. I'm just switching gears a little bit back to the sourcing and vetting and organizing your talent piece. What do you look for? Like, what's one of the most important qualities to your team when it comes to freelance talent? Because I imagine there's probably way more people signing up than, end up working on the jobs. But so just curious, like, what are some qualities you look for in your talent that you continually go back to?
Good communicators, people who are clear and upfront from the start, who respond to us quickly. Those are the folks that we want to work with. We don't want to be chasing people to get an answer or to get an update. So clear communicators, risk takers, people with big ideas and lots of passion. And Jack Morton's 3 pillars, cores of our values are passion, agility, and respect. So the fact that we've got passionate folks who are able to, turn on a dime is the agility. And then of course, showing the ultimate respect, deference, and belief in what it is that we can accomplish together. Those are the types of people we look for, as well as a good reputation. Of course, we want to know if somebody has a, I don't know, we've not worked with many black mark people, like the folks who have a bad reputation in the industry, but it's a small enough industry that we know, word gets around. And so if you are absolutely knocking it out of the park for us, we're going to bring you back and we're going to tell other people about your work.
I guess what advice would you give to growing companies out there who are in creative production just for effectively scaling their workforce?
Work with Worksuite. You guys have a phenomenal system that can be really tailored to individual needs. The fact that we were able to build out our workflow for exactly the steps that we wanted and get rid of whatever steps we didn't, and then build in a couple new custom steps that you guys helped walk us through. It is an entirely wonderful system to be able to manage at scale and not have to be tracking down the documents left and right and up and down. So that really is what was something that has been able to help us organize our little black book and to be able to utilize it more effectively.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome to use all of this. I'm a huge, huge fan. Yeah, I think you guys do phenomenal work.
Thank you. Well, I have maybe one or two more questions, but so we talk a lot about the future of work in our space, and you can take this in any direction you want, but what does the future of work mean to you? What are you seeing in the contingent workforce that you think is going to be really important for people to know?
Diversity and agility, for sure. I want people, we would like to engage with freelancers who have, shared values at our core, of course. Diversity being chief among them. That is such a huge strategic priority for us. So if you are a freelancer who works in diverse spaces, or you have those diversity classifications yourself, making sure that you are making those known, because that is going to be such a huge consideration and things that we're going to be tracking and reporting to all of the interested parties over the next couple of years. So do get involved, do explore and lean into every element and every area of diversity that is available to you, because it can only make you a better and more rounded person and can only give you more value as to what you can provide to other people.
Excellent. And you mentioned agility as well. Can you share more about how companies can be more agile in their workforce ops?
You got to have the right people. The agility, I mean, a cruise ship is not going to be able to turn on a dime, because that's not how a cruise ship is built. So if you have to take your cruise ship apart and rebuild it as a nice little speedboat, do that. Do that, because the ability to create an incredibly meaningful, impactful, exceptional experience for your client is going to require agility and not just that myopic vision. You got to be able to think on your feet. You got to be able to make last minute changes, because they are going to come your way. Reach out and just do those checkpoints, do the touch bases to make sure that everybody is going in the same direction, as opposed to just barreling forward with what you believe is your idea of where you should be heading, and then finding out later, nope, I should have gone this way the entire time. So again, communication, open, honest, early communication. I think that's a huge way to make sure that everyone is in alignment and can move quickly on a dime.
Great. Love it. Any last words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Just that we are always looking for brand new talent, folks who are in the industry or want to get into the industry. Come our way. If you're ready to do exceptional work, please come hang out with us.